Okay. All glories to Mother Natasha, all glories to Religion of Love, all glories to the assembled devotees. Please, Lord God, help us live out these teachings, be an example of love in the world. For you guys watching this YouTube video, this is our third time starting. We had some technical glitches. Okay. Here we go, finishing from the book Desire. Then a man, strange in appearance, threw himself upon the ground at her feet, crying, "Holy Mother, among all the people are you well known, so I have come to beg your blessing that I may become spiritual." And he told his story, saying, "Desiring to be spiritual, I left my life and became a beggar on the road, from one place of pilgrimage to another. Great was my desire. To become spiritual I have fasted almost to starvation. 1,000 books have I read. I pierced and punished my body with suffering. Still my desire is unfulfilled." Whoever has their mic on, if you could kindly mute it for the time being. Thank you. And she said to him, and all like him, "Why are you searching for what is already yours? Why are you trying to become what you already are? That which you most desire, you already have." And she compared him to gold, saying of the soul, "You are as gold, which is buried in a mountain of dirt. It is not necessary for gold to become gold, only for the dirt to be removed for gold to shine." And many were inspired, so that one woman said, "Please help me, Holy Mother. If only I could leave everything and follow you, but I am controlled by my family and so cannot go." And she answered her, We are controlled only by our own desires. No one can control you unless you want something from them." And a wealthy man said, "I too desire God and godly things. Must I give up all my money to be holy?" And she told him, "If poverty was the criteria for holiness, every beggar on the streets of the city would be a saint." And another said, "I have followed you for many months, studying the teachings of the religion of love, and I too would go away with you. But like others, I have a family, a business, a position of prestige. Should I give these all up?" "You need not give up anything," she said, "only your illusions about these things." And a young man asked, "Hearing everything that has been said here about desire and well understanding, I can see that the only desire worth having is desire for the eternal spiritual. But I have none. How may I grow desire?" "By keeping company with those who desire as you do." Though of a great age, there was one determined to go in search of God in distant lands, and for him this tale she told. One day, a wandering holy man came to a village, and the villagers, after hearing him speak on spiritual matters, fed him his noonday meal. It being warm and pleasant, he lay down under a tree to take a nap before continuing on. Now as he slept, the villagers noticed that his feet were resting in their house of God, and this they thought a great offense. So they woke him up to tell him, saying, "Your feet are resting in the place of God." And he, in understanding, asked of them thus, "Kindly pick up my feet." And this they did. "Now," he said, "please put my feet in a place where God is not." So I, Rajak Khan, have written that all might know of this beautiful teaching on desire, for it is my desire that my book may be a benefit to all. In fulfilling this desire, I have been made happy. May you be happy too. Jai. All right. So then a strange man in appearance threw himself upon the ground at her feet, crying, Holy Mother, among all the people are you well known, so I have come to beg your blessing that I may become spiritual. And he told his story, saying, Desiring to be spiritual, I left my life and became a beggar on the road. So this is a common misconception. Now, although historically we can see from the lives of many great saints and sages and holy ones that they were quite impoverished, that doesn't mean you have to be in poverty to be holy. As Mother Tasha says later, poverty is not the criteria of holiness. Otherwise, every beggar on the street, every homeless person would be a saint. No, so that's not the precursor. But this is the conception we may have, a misconception. And he went from one place of pilgrimage to another. And again, we travel to all these holy places of pilgrimage, to look upon the stones and bones of saints and buildings and whatnot, hoping that there to become holy, to become spiritual. But the place isn't going to make you holy. Of course, there are some auspicious atmospheres which will be more conducive to spiritual life, sure. And truly the great benefit of going to a place of pilgrimage is to associate with saintly persons, so that you may hear knowledge. But just going to a holy place isn't going to make you spiritual. As later in the story of the man they pick up his feet, he says, okay, where are you going to put it now? Where is God not? Honestly, God is everywhere. And great was my desire to become spiritual. I fasted almost to starvation. Oof. Yes, that's another misconception, that if we pierce and punish our bodies with suffering, as this man does, fasting, to the brink of death almost, we think that that'll make us more spiritual by practicing these severe austerities of the body. And austerities are a good thing. They are purifying. They do cleanse our mind and discipline us, surely. But fasting for the pleasure of God should only be done under the injunctions given by God in His Holy Scripture, such as Ramadan, Ekadashi, etc., specific days of fasting that God recommends for us to be of holy days of worship and observance of prayer and spiritual practices. But to just fast and manufacture our own method of fasting is actually not recommended in the Scriptures. In fact, it's frowned upon. We're not meant to manufacture our own means of fasting. Remember, this body is the property of God as well. We treat these bodies like a temple, for God is within all things, including within this body. Therefore, there's no need for that. Thank you, though. Therefore, we don't want to punish these poor bodies. We want to be kind. We want to be loving, including loving to ourselves. And these severe austerities that one may perform, now, they may be common practice for those on some mystical path seeking some powers, material powers, but that is not a devotional path. And yes, there have been saints in the past who did beat themselves. You can think of some Western saints that would whip themselves in the back. This was a common practice in those days and those times. But there's no scriptural backing to that. And again, that was their means of trying to, a penance and humility. But there's much better ways of purifying your heart and mind than beating yourself and starving yourself. No. Chant the holy names, much, much easier and recommended. And also he says, 1,000 books have I read. Quality over quantity. Just filling ourselves with so much information isn't necessarily going to bring us closer to God. Just as there's so many different types of foods out there, but not all may be healthful for us, so too is there lots of books and knowledge out there, but it may not all be beneficial for us. So better quality over quantity. In fact, many great masters, they recommend not to read too much, but focus on a few core wonderful, bona fide literatures and really go deep and try to live them out. Because remember, spiritual knowledge is not heard with the ears or with the mind. Spiritual knowledge is heard with the heart. And we're not meant to just know the words of Scripture. We're meant to realize, to live and experience that message within ourselves, to practice it. So this poor man, starving himself, studying so profusely, becoming a beggar, traveling everywhere, still his desire is unfulfilled. Now the poor man, but what great determination, what great desire he has. Only thing he's missing is just a little proper knowledge and instruction. And thus he comes to the spiritual master, the pure devotee of God. And she says unto him and all like him, why are you searching for what is already yours? Why are you trying to become what you already are? That which you most desire, you already have. So, you don't have to find holiness somewhere. You don't have to acquire spirituality. It's not something that you can earn or find or buy or get from somebody else. No. It's something we already have. We've all been looking in the wrong places. We're looking outside ourselves. But really, all love, all knowledge, all holiness, our real self is just right here, right in our heart. And in fact, inside here, inside our chest, is the real us, the spirit soul, which gives life and consciousness to these bodies, which we are in the illusion thinking that we are. But actually, we're not these bodies, we're the spirit soul, Aham Brahmasmi. So, what we're searching for is already there. What we're trying to become, pure spirit soul, pure lover of God, we already are that, actually. Every single soul is a pure lover of God. What we're desiring, we already have. We just need to uncover it. And she compared him to gold, saying of the soul, you are as gold which is buried in a mountain of dirt. It is not necessary for gold to become gold, only for the dirt to be removed for the gold to shine. Wow. I remember when I first heard this, wow. How empowering is that? That we already have it. So the knowledge, the instruction isn't that we got to find ourselves somewhere else or to find God somewhere else, but just do the work to uncover the experience that we are just missing. We're not experiencing because we're so covered over in illusion, in ignorance, in matter. So all spiritual practices are just a cleansing and a clearing of the dirt of ignorance. They all are. That's all they do. That's like different brands of soap. Hearing, chanting, remembering. You apply any one of them sincerely. They clean the dirt, layer by layer. And enlightenment, self-realization, is quite literally, you've been cleaning so much that now that gold, that light that was there all along is now shining. And that's the real you shining forth, the pure lover of God, the real spirit soul you. Oh, every single person is a saint unrealized. We just need a little knowledge, little guidance in the right direction, and some tools, some practices that which we can do for ourselves to come again to God. And many were inspired, so that one woman said, please help me, Holy Mother. If only I could leave everything and follow you. But I am controlled by my family and so cannot go. And she answered her, we are controlled only by our own desires. No one can control you unless you want something from them. Forgive me if the wind's kind of a little loud, blown into the mic. So, Now, we're not talking here about someone like physically controlling you. Like obviously a small child is controlled by the parents. Someone in jail is controlled by the jailers. Or a woman in some country with harsh patriarchal laws is also very much controlled. So we're not talking about that physical control where like you really are like, control, but we're talking about how most all of us are controlled, or we think we are controlled by other people. And really, we're only controlled because we want something from the other person. We want something from our family members. We want their affection, their respect, their admiration, their love. So we do all these things because we want to get something from them. We put up with, lame bosses at work and trudge along through hard days of labor because we want something. We want that money, we want that paycheck, we want those benefits. So we deal with it, we tolerate it. And they control and tell us what to do, right? And we go ahead and do it. We think they're controlling us, no, it's because you want something. If you look carefully at anyone who is a strong influence in your life, who you may think controls you in some way or another, just think, what do you really want from them? Because there's always some desire that's tying you to that person. And when you want something from somebody, you don't see things quite clearly. For example, somebody who's after the wealth of a rich person may turn a blind eye to the awful way they might be treating them. But they're hoping to get their money, Or someone who might be in an unhealthy relationship with a partner, and they're maybe being manipulated or abused by the other person, but we want something. We want their affection. We want that pleasure we get, See, we're always wanting something. There's something there if you look deeply at ourselves and what's in our heart and mind. Mother Atasha told me an interesting story of Rajak Khan, my elder godbrother. She said he had a very uncanny sixth sense about people. He could figure out what people were all about. And she told me there was this one story where this man came saying all these nice words and saying all these nice things and wanted to offer a big donation of money to the charity to give to Mother Tasha. And Rajak said to Mother Tasha on the side, "This man's no good. Don't take anything from this man." And Mother Tasha says to him, "Rajak, you're just being negative. What do you he's saying nice things. He's being very kind. He's being very generous." He's like, No. I'm telling you, this man is trouble. We need to not have any connection with him. And sure enough, Rajak would be right. And Mother Atasha asked him, "How is it you're able to figure out who these people are, what they are and what they're all about?" And he said, "Because I don't want anything from them." See, when you don't want anything from anybody, you see things quite clearly. As soon as you want something from somebody, we become misled by our own mind. And a wealthy man said, "I too desire God and godly things. Must I give up all my money to be holy?" And again, we covered this. Yes, if poverty was a criteria for holiness, every beggar on the streets of the city would be a saint. So it doesn't matter how much or how little you have, really. What matters most is whatever you do have the facility of, you use it in the service of good, in the service of God. In fact, a devotee of God is one who knows he owns nothing in this world. For what doesn't belong to God? Seriously, what do I own? Everything is made of the energies of God. Everything belongs to His grand creation. We just have the use of things temporarily while we are in this world. Seriously. So this false sense of proprietorship is gradually purified for one on the path made straight. The lover of God has no illusions that he owns anything. And if he has great wealth, or he has little wealth, or nothing, he knows that it is by the mercy of God that he's given whatever facilities are available. And God will always provide whatever is necessary to serve him, if that is our desire. Not always what we want, but he will always provide what we need. It's that nice song. You can't always get what you want. But try some time, I find you get what you need. It's true. You do get what you need. And oftentimes in this, if you look at the history of great saints, they didn't need great wealth to do their mission, so it wasn't necessary, and they didn't care for it anyways. But that doesn't mean you got to be poor to be holy. No. There's also examples of great devotees of God in the scriptures that did have great opulence gifted them by God, and they used that opulence in God's service in wonderful ways because of the consciousness behind the person. See, it's the use of things that makes them spiritual or not. It's the consciousness of the user. That's what's important. And she gives the example of a knife. A knife in the hands of a murderer can take your life. A knife in the hands of a surgeon, that could save your life. So it's not the things which are good or bad or spiritual or whatnot, it's how you use them. So no, you don't have to give up all your money to be holy. And if anybody does tell you that, well, look carefully at who they're telling you should give your money to. Usually it's them. Give it to me, give it to me. Give it to our organization, give it to... No. Run. So, you need not give up anything, she says. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So, another said, I have followed you for many months, studying the teachings of the religion of love, and I too would go away with you. But like the others, I have a family, a business, a position of prestige. Should I give these all up? You need not give up anything, she said, only your illusions about these things. And what are these illusions? I just mentioned the false proprietorship. Sure, that's an illusion, that we are the owner. Another illusion may be, for example, with this position of prestige. Well, all this prestige, all this name and fame, that is all related to the body. And it all goes when the body goes, in death. So that's also illusion. All this name and fame, all these outward designations, all these honors, they're just honors for your body. And when your body goes, those honors, they can go on your tombstone and then they finish. In your epitaph. But these are also illusions. And the same with family. Family relations. We're family members just for this short time. In this, in the grand unlimited scope of eternity, what a blip of 50 to 100 years. We're all eternal souls. We're just playing the role of mother, father, brother, sister, neighbor, enemy. This is all illusion too. When every single individual living entity is an eternal, beloved lover, servant of God. So we don't need to give up anything, really. When Mother Atasha gave initiation, and this is earlier in the book in Spiritual Revolution, she says this initiation is not about a change of name or a change of address. It's about a change of heart. And in changing your heart, we also change our consciousness to one of serving ourselves to serving God. So if you have some money, you have some property, some land, some tools, or maybe you have some qualities such as you're very intelligent, you're very artistic, you're a good orator, you're a good organizer, you're a good writer, whatever that you have, skills or tangible properties, they can all be used, dovetailed in the loving service of God if your consciousness is in a mood of loving service and surrender unto God. And the young man asked, hearing everything that has been said here about desire and well understanding, I can see that the only desire worth having is desire for the eternal spiritual. And we covered this in the last classes, yes. Anything you desire of this world binds you to this world. And if you get the things you're after, the pleasure you sought will always be limited and temporary. And if we keep chasing that which is limited, that which is temporary, well, that's not happiness, that's suffering. Chasing after the next thing. It's like living paycheck to paycheck almost. Except even worse. We're just clamoring for one little morsel of joy after another. That's literally like paycheck to paycheck. And if you know anybody living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to make ends meet in the harsh, struggle for existence in this world, that's not a very good way to live. It's very hard. And there's a lot of suffering involved. But so we being eternal in nature and spiritual in essence, the only desire worth having is the desire for the eternal spiritual. And I tell you, there is no greater bliss, no greater joy than the experience of love of God. To be engaged in loving service, it's where we are natural. We're like a duck in water. Seriously, that's our natural state of being. We're fish out of water here, trying to enjoy in a very dry environment. The spiritual is the water, and that's where we find our real happiness. Or another analogy, we're like sparks from the great fire, the great supreme whole fire being of God, and we're just tiny little sparks of His glory. And when a spark or ember, pops and flies out of the fire, and then lands on the dirt in a non-fiery environment, it starts to get dimmer. It starts to go black. But put that little ember, a little, piece of coal almost about to snuff out, put it back into the fire, and it gets blazing bright again. Comes a blaze. That is us. We're separate from God. But when we come again to God, our hearts are ablaze in love. So this man says, but I don't have desire for this. And well, really, who does? Very few. What we know is what we know, and that's what we're all desiring. So how do I grow this desire for the spiritual? And as we covered a couple classes ago in Q&A, you grow it by keeping company with those who desire as you do. Associating with other lovers of God, associating in devotional service, we become more like whatever we associate with. So the more we keep company with those who have this desire, the more that desire grows in us. And I have practical experience of this myself. It wasn't until after associating with devotees of God, servants of charity, disciples of Mother Natasha, just the more I hung out with them, the more I was around them, like my desire kept growing and growing. It's true. And moving on, though of a great age there was one determined to go in search of God in distant lands. Right. Again, the idea I have to go travel far away, like that kind of that movie like mentality. I need to go on some mystical journey. I need to climb the mountaintop. I need to seek the masters in the caves or something. I need to go to the holy place. And then the story, of course, with the holy man, which the people said, he fell asleep. Your feet are in our house of worship. That's a great offense. And he's like, all right, well, pick up my feet then. Now kindly put them in a place where God is not. Where is God not? God is everywhere, and any place can become a holy place if the devotional service of the Lord takes place. And that is what actually makes a holy place. Because great lovers and servants of God were sharing the message of God in such a place. A place where devotional service unto the Lord took place. That's what makes a place a holy place. And any place is a holy place if you engage in the loving service of the Lord. So, all right, that's the Desire book. So lovely. Let me pause it there real fast. Okay. Does anyone have any questions related to today's class on desire? No, y'all good? Well, if not a question related to the class, then any spiritual question will do. Or even a comment if you'd like to share. No? All good? I think the flies have a question buzzing around my head. What's that? Chant the holy names. There you go. All right, well, Oh, my wife is saying Quincy's unmuting. She's expecting you to talk, brother.
Well, I'm thinking. Hold on a second.
Okay. Marinate. Stir the stew of the mind.
Something came to my mind. Just this ant distracted me, so I'm thinking about that too.
Okay, two people brewing a question.
I was thinking about the whole idea of like cleaning. I guess like the gold, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or doing the work to get things clean so you can shine. And I know you go into like the desert and stuff to pray and chant and such. You think that that's like just the optimal way to do it, or just like that you have to go to a place with less distractions to do it?
You don't have to. It's helpful. For me, it's helpful, but not necessary. As Mother Tasha taught, whatever can help you enter paradise, take up. Whatever is an obstacle to paradise, give up. That's a very simple rule, what to accept and what to give up in your life. Mainly just with that laser-pointed focus on your goal. If your goal is the purification of your heart so that nothing but love remains, then you'll always be thinking, okay, how can I mold my day? What can I surround my with? What can I engage myself in that's going to be more purifying, rather than more contaminating. And nature is a very good environment. It's very conducive to spiritual life, and surely there's not much distractions out here in terms of from other people. But that doesn't mean there won't be distractions from our own mind. Where do you go that you take not your mind with you? So whatever you can do to help yourself with whatever capacity, whatever facilities that you have, do the best you can with what you got, really. My wife and I have a camper and truck, so we're using what we have to surround ourselves, put ourselves in environments that put a little more pep in our step in spiritual practice, because we have the ability to, we have the desire to do it. But that doesn't mean that one cannot purify their heart and mind being in the city. It's definitely perhaps a little more challenging, a little more distracting, sure. But doesn't mean it's impossible, no. As Mother Tasha says, one of the signs of wisdom in the Book of Wisdom is the desire to live in a solitary place, away from the general mass of people. Take yourself out into the deserts where the stars meet on the edge of the horizon, to a high mountain cave, or to a room with a door, to any silent, solitary place wherein you may meet with God. And the purpose of the going away is to return refreshed and restored. And meet with God, I mean with your spiritual practice, with your hearing, chanting, remembering. So, association is very, very important. Mother Tasha would stress this to us many times, that if real estate secret to success is location, 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 well, spiritual life success is association, association, association. We have to safeguard and nurture our spiritual life. Imagine devotion is like a little sprout, a little plant growing in your heart. And as you know, if you grow plants, a little sprout is very, very fragile. It's very weak. It can be easily killed by, too much, things around it, harsh weather, too much watering, or, for example, our spiritual life is very fragile. Maybe too much harsh association or bad influences, or maybe over endeavor with spirit, doing too much, biting more we can chew, or not nurturing it enough. So our spiritual life, in the Vedic scripture, like Srimad Bhagavatam, it likens the seed of devotion to like a creeper like a vine that grows up, like something like a beanstalk that clings to something, goes straight up. So we're trying to nurture our spiritual life so that it grows and grows and grows and grows until it breaks through the ceiling of the universe to the feet of God. And whatever we can do that can help us purify, we try to do. But we're not always in the best circumstances, obviously. My experience, right now, yes, my wife and I are in nature, and it's very peaceful, and I love just walking, chanting, crying out the names of God. No one to worry about around me, so I'm not self-conscious. It's nice, but that wasn't always the case. You know me, brother. Many years I was in the city. I was working a job. I was, dealing with so much stuff, just like everybody. And I tried my best to surround myself with good association, spiritual association. Tried to mitigate, not hang out with people that I found to be toxic or to be very negative or antagonistic to spirituality or whatnot. And so, we do whatever we can with whatever situation you're in. I know my brother Aaron is here. He's in school, he's in university, and he's got all his classmates he has to, associate with, he can't avoid. Or we have family members we may live with, we can't avoid. So it's not always the case that we can put ourselves in the most ideal environment for spiritual practice. But that does not mean we cannot put ourselves in the ideal state of mind, of loving service, of surrender. Because the environment helps, but that doesn't mean it's necessary. It's like if you're an Olympic swimmer, you might want to have like the special swimsuit, that streamlines the water off your body, right? Every little thing helps to increase your speed. Well, environments like that, or everything around us, all the little things that can help, but really the main thing is your drive. The main thing is your determination and desire. That's what's most important. If you are filled with the desire for love of God, nothing and no one will stand in the way of you loving God. Nothing. And if you are fixed in devotional service and have made God your supreme goal in life, nothing's going to stop you from doing your daily practices, your sadhana, your daily chanting the holy names, hearing the word of God, remembering God. Nothing going to stop you. So yeah, being in nature is awesome. I dig it, and the scriptures do recommend, to as much as we can to avoid worldly people if you want to safeguard your spiritual life. But that's not always possible. And for someone who's a preacher, someone who's out, like my experience, going out with the books, distributing books of the religion of love, people to people, person to person, street corners, university plazas, busy marketplace, metro stations. I've been all over the place, train stations, distributing books. So I'm surrounded by people. I'm surrounded by nonsense. I've dealt with so much crazy stuff I've had to deal with. But it didn't have that much of a negative effect on me when I was fixed in devotional service and chanting the holy names. So as long as we can keep our heart and mind fixed on God in devotional service, and the easiest way to do that is through chanting God's name, keeping God's name present with us. Think of it like a little force field, a little bubble, your shield. Because if you're constantly fixed on the name of God and in service to God, you're not likely to accept the negativity and influence of others. Levels of association. So for a devotee of God, we try not to accept anything from anyone not in devotional service. We're talking about energy-wise, not saying like accept the order of fries I just ordered. No, I'm not saying I don't accept anything. No, what I'm saying is like energy-wise, consciousness-wise. We're talking about these subtle things. Devotee of God tries not to accept energy or any negativity or someone's false ideas and philosophies. We're not accepting that. We're just in a mood of giving love. And amongst other fellow devotees on the path, we share. We give each other love and inspiration. It's a give and take of love and friendship. Sometimes we need more support. We're leaning on somebody, and sometimes they lean on us. We help one another. So amongst your God brothers, your God sisters, those on the path, we share. Everyone else, we're just in the mood to give and love. That way we're not contaminated with whatever they're trying to throw at us. And the other side of that is, and then with the spiritual master, with the holy persons who are our elders, our superiors, we just receive. We don't think to give them something out of pride or arrogance. No, we're receiving knowledge and instructions and service. So with our elders in spiritual life, with the spiritual master, we receive. With amongst God brothers and God sisters, or those your peers in the path, we share. And with everybody else, we give. These are the levels of association in devotional life. And if you keep these levels of association in remembrance, you remind yourself of these, you'll be able to safeguard your spiritual life in any situation. Even if you're in a crazy environment, even if you're around a whole bunch of nonsense people and busy hustle bustle, materialism, it won't affect you much if you're always in the mood of giving love, giving knowledge. And we don't always give by our words or our actions. Surely we don't always have opportunity to share the message. Who has the desire to hear this stuff? It's rare. And we might not always have books in our hand to offer that way, and the books can do the talking. We might not be able to have opportunity to give charity or selfless loving service to others, but we can always give of our own energy. We can always give a smile. We can always give devotion in our heart just by being it. Being is greater preaching than speaking. There's this, I think it's from Oscar Wilde. He said, "Who you are is shouting so loud I cannot hear what you say." That's how our main preaching is. We preach to ourselves and we try to live the message, we try to come again to love, purify our hearts and minds of everything not of love. And just by staying fixed in that and try not to accept, whatever energy not of love by anybody else, and be in a mood of loving service and giving, we can safeguard our spiritual life, nurture that little creeper in the heart in any environment. But the stronger you get in spiritual life, the more you've walked along this path, more experience you have. Of course, we can get stronger in that. But when we're just starting out, we really need to really be mindful and protect our spiritual life as much as possible. Hope I didn't talk too much. I hope you don't have to go. I think you said you have to go at this time, brother.
At 6, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us, brother. So cool. What a surprise.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I got a new phone, so I should be able to join more often.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Okay. Well, until you have to take off, love your association, brother. Anytime you can come hang out, always a pleasure. Did you finish marinating your question, love?
I got my answer.
You got your answer already?
Yeah, during the conversation.
Okay. That often happens. That's why it's good to ask questions, because sometimes it's somebody else might have the same question as you, and then when you hear what's going on, you get your answer. This happened. I've experienced this a lot. Watching Mother Natasha, hearing Mother Natasha answer other people's questions. That's why we have an inquiries channel on the Discord server. So if anyone has a question, you can ask, and others may be benefited. And we have a separate channel for that, just in case it doesn't get lost in the general chat, because people can refer to that and be like, oh, okay. So you're good. Anyone else have a question by chance or comment? Still want to add the Jeopardy theme music to the soundboard. Dun 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 dun. All right then. And I guess we can close. Normally we close at this time anyways. We had a few mishaps getting started. Technical difficulties. All right, well, all glories to Mother Natasha, all glories to Religion of Love, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai.